Welcome to 6 Minutes. Jason Fulmore, S.E. Russell, here with Fat and Jolly with his apple sauce. And is that a monster drink?
That is a great nos.
Oh, okay. All right. Lucas DeSilva, who joins me again to talk a little bit about the Elite Eight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Because there's 56 teams, there's a lot of lineups. There's a lot of kind of first round and the semifinals or the quarterfinals and the semifinals and the finals. We're not going to be able to spend a tremendous amount of time on any specific one. But we'll get to kind of what we think. I've already had people, when I've been posting lineups, people have been saying to me, why don't we just move on to what the expected matches are in the finals and just talk about those. But I don't want to jump ahead of the game, so we'll take it a little bit slow as we go through it. Are you frozen? You're frozen. What happened to you? Uh-oh. This will be the quietest you ever hear Lucas DeSilva.
There we are. I'll go good now. My bad. My bad there. Sorry. Dorm life for you. I got to hardwire myself at some point. I have an Ethernet box there, which I will say, for a school this small to have a box that has a direct Ethernet cable port, I'm kind of shocked. I just need to hook it up.
The fact that Lucas was that quiet for that long, I mean, come on, people. Really? All right. So before we get to everything, I want to
hang on. 56 teams, 7 classes, right. 8 left in each. That's 4 quarters, 2 sems, 1 final, 1 champion to be crowned in this buffoonery that is 7 classifications. Thank you, GHSA.
Yes, there are quite a few.
I'm gonna keep yelling about this until it's fixed. I don't care.
So, how many classifications should there be?
3 or 4.
Okay.
And someone may say, oh, that's not that big of a difference. Yes, it is, especially in Georgia, where imagine for a moment if we took 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, and 7. Just imagine the brackets that would be made there and how much better the wrestling would be. That's my only argument, is that the brand of wrestling would be forced to evolve, because you'd have iron sharpening iron, and that goes even to your middle tier guys, because the mid tier would have to raise because they continue to bang with those upper level guys.
So I might agree with you as far as an individual tournament. I'm not sure as far as duels go, because the duels are, I mean, a smaller school is really added this more of a disadvantage than a much larger school.
I would agree, if it wasn't for the fact that I would argue there are teams in 1A that would beat most of 7A.
Yeah, but the sheer number is extremely small. Oh, are you frozen? Is it me or is it you?
Yeah, we're good. We're good now. We're good.
You sure?
Godly. Yeah, it's being a little fidgety.
Yeah, it might not be you. It could be me. So
yeah, but either way, I agree. Duels, I understand more the idea of having more classes. I do understand it for duels. I do. I understand it there.
Okay. All right. Before we go much further, I'm going to actually share this. So this is
before we go for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know. No doubt. I want to share this because I simply want to, for people who are watching who don't really know. This is
very smart to do, though. I agree with this. Go ahead.
All right. So for people who don't really know and have never been to this situation, although they have been in the prelims, the order doesn't necessarily start at 106, right? It can start anywhere throughout the lineup, and that makes a huge deal. A fall is worth 6 points. A tech fall is worth 5. A major's worth 4. A regular decision is worth 3. And this is kind of what last year's 6A Valdosta versus Alexander kind of worked out to be.
And since we're looking at it real quick, I have to mention, shout out my teammate Desperado, aka Jesse Martin, and shout out, he just joined us also from Alexander. Shout out Ryan Mays. Those are two of my teammates now here down at BPC. Shout out to those boys.
Okay. All right. I didn't know that. Where did they join you
Taking
from?
care of business.
Where was Jesse before?
No, he was at BPC. Ryan Mays just joined us.
Got it. Okay. All right, cool. Wow. So BPC is pulling in a bunch of Georgia kids.
Yeah. Georgia and Florida is what the majority of our lineup for them is lining up to be.
Got it. Okay. So just to give you an idea, and this is why it's really important to talk about, because this is where coaches get an opportunity to kind of, I wouldn't say mess with their lineup, but it might be necessary to adjust their lineup as necessary to create the best matchups.
I think we have to keep in mind here that duels is the time when coaches really get to shine, because in a real way here, with only 14 matches in a dual meet and no reruns, no takesies, backsies, the way you weigh kids in, and this even goes into weight dissension months ahead of time. This is really the time where we see Roach is willing to make the chess move and willing to outthink another team. And we're seeing it with a couple teams weighing in certain ways. We see it with possible lineups in 1A. We both have our sources. I'm not going to go in too deep, but there's some shenaniganry that's going to be going on in 1A with weigh-ins. And I'm just sitting here with a bucket of popcorn ready to see how this all plays out. And that goes from Charlton to Commerce to Tryon to Soul Circle to everybody. Everybody's messing with weights, and you see it a lot. And it's really the most fun aspect to duels about me is you get matchups that you may not get to see in a normal scenario.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The other thing that I think is really important to just mention is that, so let's say that Lucas DeSilva weighs in at, the weight class is 162 right now with the +2.
God, I haven't done that in a while.
So I know. Let's just go with it. Let's say that
Lucas, sure. No, I'm not mad at
it. If Lucas weighs in at 162.1, he is then eligible to wrestle 170 up to 182, because you can wrestle one above your weight. So he's technically at 162.1, a 170 pounder. He, in theory, can wrestle all the way up to 182 for his team in the duel. Now, he can't wrestle 160. So he has two weight classes that he can kind of work through. And in a duel, that's really important, because if you've got a really, really, really good kid at a particular weight and you weigh just 1/10 above that weight class, you can use him really pretty far up in the dual roster. So that I just want to make sure that everybody understands that as far as this goes.
I think that's good, because I think I can say that I had a couple parents that normally don't watch things like these say to me, I watch your thing with Fillmore. So you may have some parents that may tune in for a couple minutes and they may not know directly how duels work. So I think it is really important that we went through this. Yeah, not just explain how this all goes down.
Well, and I think that there's another reason. The other reason is that sometimes, especially with new parents, you look at it and you go, "Why is my kid getting bumped up? Why?"
Yeah, and they may not understand it.
And if your kid can get bumped up, I can get my JV kid to get a pin or a forfeit, and your kid goes up, even if he takes a loss, but only gives up a loss and 3 points. The team is ahead by 3 points. Yeah, and that could be a big deal.
Duels are just as much about math, and Nate Etheridge, he's one of the smartest coaches I've ever had the pleasure of talking to for an extended period of time about duels. He always talks about the road to 8. And if you don't know what that means, in high school duel meet, you have 14 matches, and you want to win the majority of matches, because in 95% of the case, if you win 8 of the 14, you're going to win the duel meet. So he always talked about the road to 8 and weighing people in, bumping, and doing things like that to get to your 8 wins.
Couldn't agree more. All right. So let's go to 1A. All right. And I'm going
to go on record. This is the most intriguing A in the state.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and jump over and share this. Can you see what I have here? You see the bracket?
I can see the 1A bracket.
All right, so let's
yes, sir.
Let's deal with the bracket first. So they seeded the bracket and put Pisgah on the 1 spot.
I'm very intrigued by the way this was seeded. When I really look at it, the only thing I could imagine is defending champ status and the fact that Tryon, Commerce, Soul Circle, no disrespect meant to those 3 programs, but none of them really have any. God, I don't want to be. None of them have a win over an Ola, a Cass, a Camden, a Mill Creek. That would be heavy criteria. So I guess they were kind of just like, screw it. Pisgah won. Social Circle has a couple solid wins. I see them as the 2. I'm shocked at Tryon and Commerce. I'm shocked that Tryon's all the way down at the 4. That's where my head really starts kind of get to like, what the hell happened?
Well, and honestly, head to head, Tryon beat Jefferson out of state this year.
They did?
School. Yeah.
I did not. Now that I did not know. Then I'm really confused.
It makes no sense to me that they're 4.
Where are my notes? Where are my notes? My pre-seeds, I had it Tryon, Social Circle, Pisgah, Commerce, Scriven, St. Anne, Landmark, Charlton. That was my 8.
Right, and I'm not worried about 5 through 8 as much. I'm really and to be fair, I'm happy that Tryon and Social Circle are away from each other because I think they're the 2 best teams. But I simply don't understand.
I would tend to agree. I think. Not to say Pisgah.
Go ahead.
That's what I want to know. And I tend to agree with you. I don't want to say Commerce and Pisgah are out of range to beat a Social Circle or a Tryon, but I think the way it lays out, Pisgah doesn't match up really well with Tryon. Commerce doesn't really match up well with Social Circle. So I kind of just think, in all honesty, since I know I'm going to get asked this, and here we go. I just think, or do you want to run through the bracket a little bit more, or can I kind of?
No, go ahead, and I'll bring you back if we need to.
Okay, no, okay. This is how I think it's going to play out. This is where get to give some teams some bulletin board material, if you will. I see Pisgah, Tryon, Commerce, and Social Circle moving pretty simply on.
Okay.
I see Tryon. I'm going to say like about a 10-point victory over Pisgah. A good duel, but I just think once you hit Eller and Blaine Bowman and Zach Sharp, I think that'll put it away. I think Social Circle will handle Commerce, especially even with Hoke in them. I don't know if it's enough. And by the way, to my Commerceans, I do apologize. I am Grant Hamilton's #1 fan. Braden is my boy. I love the Commerce crew. Please do not get it twisted. When we were talking, I was just mentioning that Hoke moving to Commerce was a gigantic move. Please do not take that as disrespect to the original Commerceans. But nevertheless, I think we will see a Tryon Social Circle final.
And
I said it from the beginning of the year. I thought Tryon was the best team in 1A. I'm going to stick to my guns. Tryon win in a razor-close duel. Do not be shocked if it goes to criteria. That will be, I'm going to say Tryon, Social Circle, Pisgah, Commerce is your top 4 in that order. Hold me to it. Yeah.
Okay. So I like that pick, and I like what you've done with that and broken that down. Let me ask a couple of questions. The first question is this: I don't think any of those other teams break through to win the first round match, but out of the 4 teams, Charlton County, Scriven, Landmark Christian, and and Pacelli, which of those maybe has a shot on the backside to finish top 4?
This is going to sound a little bit biased, and I will completely admit that going in. I will admit that. I am a Scriven County fan. I have 2 teammates from Scriven County. Shout out Cody Thompson and Cameron Ellis. I met their staff at area duels. I like their team. They're scrappy. They're young. They're about 2 years away from being, I think, at least a legitimate, I don't want to say powerhouse, but they're moving in the right direction. I really like Scriven. I mean, you get caught with Tryon off the scale. That's not going to end well for you. I love them. But then you get Charlton on the backside. Then you get the drop of Commerce and Social Circle. Maybe if tensions run high, they maybe give Commerce a run. But if I have to pick one, I would say Scriven, and that could be biased. So please, Charlton, Landmark, and St. Anne, please understand I am admitting that I am biased in this because I like my boys down in Scriven County. I admit it. I'm admitting it. Full honesty. Full disclosure.
Now, second question. If it's not Tryon and Social Circle, who is more likely to be upset in the semifinals if one of the two of them gets upset?
I'm going to say this about Mount Pisgah. They just somehow find a way to win. Like, you look at last year, on paper, they should not have won a state title. They were the fourth best team in that class. I could even argue on paper you could have made a case that, like, Holy Innocents maybe have jumped them. And they just come in and say, hey, by the way, we're state champions now. Do it for Mary. Like, they just seemingly have a way to peak at the right time. And that is a coaching and mentality and culture thing up at Pisgah. It's astonishing to see. I got to see them at Archer, and all of them were up in weight. Like, they weren't even down to their lineup, and they looked solid top to bottom. So I will never count out Mount Pisgah. Like, if they come out and win this thing, we will come back, and I'm going to say I'm not surprised. And I know what's going to happen. Same thing like last year. Tyler Nelson and Marley are going to rag on me on Instagram. They're going to post and tag me like they did. It's going to happen again. Like,
well, I mean, one thing to say about Pisgah is that from Nardella through, I don't know what the number is. They're tough. They're tough in the middle.
Their middleweight, they have a run, and I know the exact run you're talking about from 26 up to like 70. Once you start hitting Pickering, Nardell, Washington, Nelson, Bertrand, Lang, Groove. By the way, shout out Joey Bertrand, Team Fat and Scrappy member this summer. I want to throw that out there. But once they hit that run, they are deadly. And it's like, if they go on a run and sweep someone through that middle, like, that's the thing about Tryon is it's like Tryon's going to need to steal one of those matches. They're going to have to. And, you know, maybe you look at a Toby Maddox and a Lang matchup. Maybe you think you could steal that. Maybe a Nardella, Crawford Lee, or maybe Huskin or Wilmington. If they like, there's a possibility they could steal one, and they're going to need to. Tryon's one of those teams where once they hit Bowman, Eller, Sharp, Wilbanks, they need to be within. Pisgah to beat Tryon. The way to beat Tryon is once they hit those three, you need to be like 20 clear. They need to be over by the time it hits 82, or you're in trouble.
Assuming we start at 106, but yeah.
Assuming that is a very fair point. Assuming we start 6, what happens if we start heavy and all of a sudden Pisgah starts hitting momentum late in that duel? That could be problems for the Bulldogs.
Well, and momentum's a thing. I mean,
my God. If you've never been to a dual meet, I'm going to argue that momentum is the third most important thing in a dual meet. If a team hits a run and all of a sudden the bench starts getting hyped, the fan section starts getting into it, it's tough to slow that down. I mean, Etheridge always talked about with me where whenever dual meet started looking bad, he looked over me. He's like, hey, I need you here to, like, give me something flashy here. Like, I need this momentum nipped in the bud before.
Boom. Bring it down. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So let's assume Tryon Social Circle is our final. Let's assume that. Yeah. And again, we're not jumping ahead. We're not predicting that to necessarily happen. Maybe Lucas is, but
I am. I'm giving you my predictions. Everybody wants to hear my predictions last year. I am my name on it.
So when that duel happens, right? If you were to pick out one or two individual matchups that you think are so critical to what ends up happening in the duel, what do you think is that one or two matchup that is super important to the overall outcome?
See, it really depends on we both know that there's going to be some mischief with the way these two weigh in. So let's assume that your possible weigh-in lineup is where they lay in at. I look at a 113 matchup between Jason Jenkins or Alan Paez and CJ Duran. That is a matchup right there where neither one of them are state champion front runners, for lack of a better term. And that's the kind of match it's going to come down to. Is a CJ Duran, a young and hungry CJ Duran, is he ready to deal with Jason Jenkins? Is he ready to deal with that moment and deal with the moment being there? I look at 132, a Crawford Lee Lane Thacker matchup. Thacker, your heavy favorite, but we've seen Crawford Lee hang tough with some of these kids. Can he keep it to a major, or even in a best scenario, a decision? We go up a little bit. Jackson Etheridge against Blash, I thought Bowman was down. Never mind. I thought we had a possible Etheridge-Bowman matchup. But if that were to happen, that's a matchup there that I have all eyes on. Like, there's some really interesting matchups that could come from Tryon and Social Circle, especially, listen, you got Nate Etheridge. You got, I cannot remember Social Circle's coach's name for the life of me, the head coach. Oh, God, I know him.
Coach Prater?
Thank you. I am so sorry, Prater. You know you're my boy. Like, and Tryon, you got the crew. Both of these teams are very well coached. Right. So they're going to have – each team is going to have an ace up the sleeve. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's a weigh-in, a bump. They're going to have something. And it's just a matter of what is it. I'm excited to see, and I want for the culture, I want Tryon and Social Circle to get there because I want to see that duel. I want to. I think it's going to be –
Are you going to get to see any of the duels?
No, sadly. We're going to Kaiser tomorrow. We leave. We wrestle Friday, and we won't be back in time.
Oh, okay. So we'll have to record these so Lucas can go back.
I would love. Please do. Please do. Please do. I would be very appreciative. Please, for your boy. Yeah.
All right. We're jumping to 2A, and I'm going to do a screen share again. And let's
2A is another. 2A is an interesting one.
All right, 2A, we got Oglethorpe County as our 1 seed. Dade County is our 2 seed. And by the way, GHSA, the 1 seed goes on line 1. That's just the way.
Oh, my God. I literally had a conniption looking at it. I'm like, what is going on?
Okay. Lovett is the 3 seed, which should be on line 5, just so everybody knows. And Dade County is the 2 seed. Lamar County is the 4 seed. So you see it in front of you, Lucas. What kind of stands out to you in terms of, is the seating right first?
Seating kind of broke out the exact way I thought. I had Lovett and Dade flipped 2-3, but the rest of it, I think, yeah, chalkboard the rest of it for me. I had it Oglethorpe, Lovett, Dade, Lamar, Vidalia, Fane, and Haraldson Pepperell. So okay. I had it just flip those two. Seating looks good here. Looks kind of exactly what I thought. I'm very interested to see that 4-5 Vidalia Lamar matchup. There's some pretty fun matchups there for me. Okay. This is one of those brackets where we get to have some real fun and see whose team really is made of it. For me, my prediction, just to get over with, I have Oglethorpe going back to back. I have Dade coming in second, Lovett in third, and then Vidalia in fourth. I think Vidalia win the 4-5. And honestly, it's gonna sound crazy, and I'm gonna catch heat for it on the backside. I can't tell you why. Just when I look at Vidalia, I have this I just like them. Sweet onion capital of the world. I see them. I've seen them wrestle once or twice this year. I've got to put my eyes on them. I like what I see out of them. Their program's going in the right direction. I think this is the year they break into the top 4. And I have it. Oglethorpe, Dade, Lovett, Vidalia. That's my 4.
Okay.
Hold me to that. Me to that.
And you've already answered one question, which is which of the non-top 4s break through, and you say Vidalia.
Even though, don't sleep on Fannin County. They don't match up too well with Lovett if we assume they weigh in base. If they move some things around, they could make that interesting. More interesting than people are going to give them credit for. Don't sleep on Fannin County. I have Lovett beating them by, 15, somewhere in that range, but it's a closer 15 than someone might suspect.
I agree that they don't match up well. Actually, the matchup that I'm most interested in is the potential Lovett-Dade County matchup. Because Lovett is tough.
At that duel.
Lovett's tough down low. Dade County's really tough up top. And it's probably going to come down to some kids who...
I'm going to call it Dade and Lovett is going to be a 7-7 split. It's going to come down to bonuses. It's going to come down to who's also rans don't get pinned. Is what it's going to come down to. Like that duel.
And just so everybody knows, also rans, he doesn't mean it in a derogatory
No. Thank you. Just for everybody know, when I say also ran, I don't mean it as a, like, someone may use it to, like, I say it's just not your heavy hitters, not your killers, not your gunners. Please do not take, listen, I've been on teams where I was an also ran. It's the way it is.
Yeah. So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. And the reason I say I'm glad you brought that up is because when we talk about, and I was talking to Jackson Bass about Alabama's earlier, and when we talk about holes or we talk about also rans, a hole is truly a hole. A hole is truly, there is nobody that fills the weight class. It's 6 points and it's tough, right? And also ran, or a hole, as a lot of people kind of describe it, is basically just a kid who is not necessarily your top. Like, I mean, look, your Williams boys on Dade County, your Alex Hyman and your Jake Kennedys and Parker Coys on Lovett.
Your Shane Watsons at Oglethorpe.
Right, Shane Watsons at Oglethorpe. Those are your hammers, right? Hunter Manning at Vidalia. Those are that you are totally expecting to get you points. But a lot of times in a duel, it doesn't come down to them. They do their job, but it actually comes down to two kids who might be first-year varsity wrestlers who end up determining what the end result is. So I just want to make sure that we clear that up and make sure that everybody understands that that is the case. So
please do not take offense to the word also rans. If I didn't like it, I'd call you a lot worse. Ask the GHSA.
All right.
They know it. I'll call them a lot worse.
All right. So you had Oglethorpe going back to back. You had them against Dade
in the final.
All right. So how do you kind of see that duel playing out? Is there a couple of matchups that you think are really important to?
Yes, with Dade and Oglethorpe, there's a handful that I look at directly as, okay, they're going to need to get the job done there. When you look at Dade, I mean, you look at Hunter Manning. Where's he at?
That's Vidalia.
Oh my God! Thank you, Jesus. What is wrong with me? I just gotta practice, y'all. So please excuse me if I'm an idiot. You got the Williams brothers up top, and they would be going up against a Hall and Bridges. That's something there where if you're Hall and Bridges, this is where you kind of show yourself a little bit. It's an opportunity to hang on tight with one of these studs. You look at, obviously, 138, you got Shane Watson. He'll be going up against a Brandon Willerson. Or if you're Dade, if you feel safer with Breeden, you could run Childress up, and we get a fun matchup there. Because I am a fan of Gavin Childress. Call me crazy, but I've watched him a handful of times. The kid can bang. He's not as well known as a Shane Watson. I think Shane is better than him by that is a match that if it happens, someone's gonna be like, oh God, that's closer than it should be. And you come back and look at me like a genius. 120 for Oglethorpe, we have Valdez. That'll be a Gatlin matchup for him. I can't remember the result of the last time they wrestled, but I do believe it was close. Please someone fact check me if I'm wrong, but I think that was a close match. So we get a rematch there. There's 4 to 5 really fun matchups in this duel that it's going to come down to. So I'm just excited to see it. But this is one of those where I'm always a run it back kind of guy. So I also am not mad if Lovett gets a shot at revenge and you could see a Hyman Valdez, a Coy and Watson, like they're fun matchups if Lovett gets back to him. So I'm intrigued by the scenario.
Finish the sentence. It wouldn't surprise me if blank happened in 2A.
It would not surprise me if I'm trying to. It would not surprise me, and please listen to my sentence here, if Pepperell hangs tougher with Oglethorpe than anyone suspects.
Okay. Okay.
When you look
I like
where Pepperell is good and they're guys that can hit, they're not where Oglethorpe's hitters are. So it might be a 55-27 duel.
And that might make you think that Oglethorpe is vulnerable, but the truth is they're not vulnerable. Pepperell just hit really, really good in particular situations.
Yeah. And Pepperell's another one of those teams that program in the right direction. They get into the Elite Eight for the first time in a little, or were they in the Elite Eight last year? I don't want to disrespect them if they were.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't think they were.
I don't know. Can't tell you.
But either way, their program moving in the right direction. I like what I see out of the Griffins. Shout out that whole coaching staff. Shout out to them.
All right. Let's go over to 3A. You and I had a discussion about 3A last time where I said, to me, Gilmer Rockmart. And then you said, oh, no. There's one more, and that's Sonoraville, right? Mm-hmm. But would we agree that it's those three and the five below, and there's a distance between the 3 and the 5?
Yes, and that's no disrespect to the 5 below them. Rockmart, Gilmer, and Sonoraville can bang with any team in the state. I said it. Like, this is a really strong year for 3A on the top end, and this is where we get a lot of intrigue of who's going to get that 4. Because I really think it's anybody's game from seed 4 to 8. It is anybody's ball game.
All right, so let's go ahead and flip it over. And the 4 seed came in as Oconee County, which is a team that both you and I liked coming into this. But they draw a very tough Adairsville in the first round. A
really, really tough Adairsville.
Right.
I noticed this.
That's got to be one of the best first round matchups around, right?
It absolutely is. Like that is right there. Popcorn. That's all I can say there. Popcorn.
Okay. All right. So tell me, we're now looking at it. Gilmer is the 1 seed. Rockmart's the 2. Sonora's the 3. We're not surprised by that. Coney came in. It's the 4. Adairsville 5. Although we're not really worried about once we get beyond 4 because they're kind of separated as necessary. So how does this play out?
Yeah. First off, I want to say shout out to North Murray and Murray County both get into the Elite Eight. And both of them were in not an easy quad per se. They both kind of had to battle and bang, and shout out to both them for getting through. I didn't have either of them making it when we talked about it. I pricked against them, and God bless them, they both made it. I will say the seeding to me, I don't want to say it was wrong per se, but I would have flipped a little bit. My original seeds were Rockmart, Gilmer, Sonoraville, Adairsville, Oconee, Morgan, Murray County, North Murray. So I had it like, if this makes sense, I had a group of 3, another group of 3, and then a group of 2.
Got it.
So like move them around a little bit, but the seeding was a little different than I suspected. So we get some interesting matchups.
I think that Gilmer beat Rockmart in a duel very early in the year.
Yeah,
that might have played a role.
I would, if that's the case, please someone tell me, because I did not know that. But even still, they did in like November. They caught each other.
It was November. It was almost one of the like opening weekends of the season.
It might have been because I remember hearing about it and I was like, so for those who don't know, the reason why I'm so high on Rockmart is last year I saw them in East Coweta early in the year when they were, their program moving in the right direction. I said it, they're a year away. And you look this year, you look at some of their results, it's like, bro, like they're hanging tough with solid teams. And you look at some of their individuals, they really have some really good kids. I am losing names for the life of me, but please, I am a Yellow Jackets fan. And
well, I will say this, anytime you have a program where like TK Davis is your varsity wrestler and a defending state champion and Garrett Pace cannot find his way into the lineup behind Beavers and Davis, just tells you how tough that program and that lineup is.
I will go on record. Hold me to this, everybody. Gun to my head. I'm taking Rockmart in the 1 slot. I think they get over the hump, win themselves their first state title. I'll take Gilmer in second. I'll take Sonoraville in third. Give me Adairsville.
Okay.
I don't know. I like what I see out of Adairsville. They're kind of a scrappy bunch. Like, they have good wrestlers, don't get it twisted, but they don't have necessarily your prototypical, oh, that's our guy. They have 14 dudes that can bang. So I'll go with Adairsville taking that 4 slot, but don't be surprised if it's a Coney. Don't even be surprised. I will go on record to say, don't be surprised if Morgan County gets that 4 spot.
All right. So is Adairsville win that opening round match, or do they come back through the backside to get 4th?
I think they might just come to the backside, to be 100% honest with you. They might. Like, I could see Oconee beating them early. Can you pull that bracket back up so that I'm not losing my mind about the drops? Because I think I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So if they lose 2, that means actually no.
No, because if they lose their first round match, they'll have to beat Sonora.
So,
right?
Okay. So let me tell you something. That Oconee Adairsville is now 10,000 times more important. That is now the most important match in this bracket, because one of those teams is going to catch a really pissed off Rockmart or Sonoraville off the drop. So be weary if you're Oconee or Adairsville. If you want a place, to me, that number 2 matchup is damn near more important than the semi. Right. So I'm still going to rock with Adairsville. I'll say they beat Oconee. It'll be close, 7-7, 8-6 kind of match. I think either one of them, I think, is a step below Gilmer. No disrespect. I just think Gilmer's that good. And then Rockmart, Sonoraville, throw darts from like 138 up to 170. Like, that whole middle, it's like, oh, God. Like, both them are solid. So just throw darts, for God's sakes, and just kind of see what happens.
So if 2 questions. Question 1 is, on the Gilmer Rockmart match, is there a matchup that you're thinking of in your head that you're like, that's an incredible matchup, that's an important matchup to the outcome?
I know it. See, this is where my lack of names with the younger generation, but I've seen this.
You just said the younger generation.
They are.
Killing me. You're killing me.
They are.
See all this gray hair?
Bro, I've been wrestling for 16 years, dog. Like, they are the young ones to me, for God's sakes. But, like, I think it's 20 or 26 that if they match up the way I think they do, Gilmer's got a hammer and Rockmart would have a hammer. But, I mean, it's – I'm trying to think. See, this is the problem with me, and I wish – so for those that don't know, me and him were trying to figure out when we were going to do this, so I didn't have my typical time to go back and take my notes that I normally would have done, so bear with me.
It's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
shooting from the hip a little bit here.
I'm going to give you my 2.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, the first matchup I think is incredibly important, and I want to say this first, and that is, I think it'll come down to the non-superstars that really ends up being the difference in the duel. But the 2 superstar matchups, in my opinion, are at 113 with Carson Ferris from Gilmer and TK Davis at 113.
13. Thank you. It wasn't 20.
Fantastic weight class. I think it's going to be a really good matchup. I think it's
That's
really important.
And
I also think at 220 or 285 with Dylan Galloway versus either Jakarian Ammons or Jace Davis up top. Both of those matches, I think, are kind of really important. They set some momentum for one team or the other.
Yeah.
And it's going to make a difference in who is ultimately
Dylan Galloway can bang. I got to watch him I had the pleasure of watching him at the Grappler. And dude can wrestle. He then came to BPC for a camp. Shout out Dylan Galloway. Dude's a hammer. Thank you for mentioning the Ferris and TK matchup. I knew it was 13 or 20. I was like, there's one more. Aren't they both got like state champions or something crazy? Yeah. Like, I could see either of those matchups. I really like TK Davis. I'm not going to lie to you. Having watched him, I really like him. So I wouldn't be shocked if they split those matchups. I wouldn't be shocked if Rockmart gets one and Gilmer gets the other, or both. I think stealing both of those might just call it for somebody. We might be saying, let's go home. Like if someone could steal both of those. But nevertheless, 3A is a very fun class this year. I like it.
Finish the sentence. It wouldn't surprise me if blank happened in 3A.
It would not surprise me in 3A if we see Sonoraville on top of the podium.
Oh, that's a big statement.
I'm going to say this.
That's a big statement. Now, I think that's really important. I mean, the Knight brothers, they're going to get their points, right?
It's not even about the Knight brothers per se. It's when Sonoraville hits like 182, 195, and then up. It's like, bro, I'm going to put it to you like this. If a team makes the bad life choice of going into 182 against Sonoraville in a close duel, they will regret that decision. You need to be clear of them.
Okay.
I love that. They are not out of it. I put it on record. They are not out of this race. This is not a 2-horse race. This is a 3-horse gallop into the last dash. Like, this is going to be a good class. Mark my words.
All right. So we now move to 4A. And I'm going to pull it up so that you can see who's there and we can show everybody who's here. Right. So we got Jefferson as the 1 seed. We've got Cedartown as the 2 seed. West Lawrence as the 3 seed, and Heritage Catoosa as the.
I'm not going to lie. I need some answers. Like, don't get it twisted. Cedartown can go, but we didn't pick them to come out of their quad. I'm pretty sure Columbus has a win over Hampton. Like, I am very confused.
I'm really surprised that Columbus isn't one of the 4, and that West Lawrence isn't the 2. I don't understand how West Lawrence isn't the 2.
I'm going to use a word. I am befuddled.
You know what would be a better word for Lucas would be speechless.
Yeah, like genuinely, like this doesn't make sense to me.
All right.
It doesn't make sense.
All right. So I'm going to pull this. Do you want me to pull it back up so you can walk us through it, or do you want to do it without it?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So that I could like try to figure out what in the Jesus is going on.
All right. So who is going to march through? Talk us through.
So Jefferson, with all due respect to everybody else in the bracket, Creed Thomas makes me want to pick against Jefferson because he said to me, and I quote, "If you pick against Jefferson, I'm going to unfollow you." So I kind of want to call his bluff, but I'm not going to be too disrespectful. So Jefferson is your number 1. I think that they are your clear favorites, and they are deserving of that. They are one of the best teams in the state of Georgia, bar none. Agreed. I see Heritage beating Hampton. I think they are better. I don't think they're the 4 seed, but they are better. Columbus and West Lawrence. That is a fascinating first round.
It's unbelievable, honestly.
And hey, Cedartown, you better be ready off the scale. Because Marist is not an easy draw.
Right.
Like, you want to hear it, finish the sentence, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we see the 7 and the 6 seed in the front side semifinal. I'm not predicting that, but don't be surprised.
So what are you predicting?
I'm so glad you asked. I have it Jefferson, West Lawrence, Columbus, Heritage.
So if that's the case, though.
Oh, wait, can't do that. I just realized because they screwed up the seeding.
No. That could work because West Lawrence would win, and then Columbus would come through the back side.
And they'd have to wrestle Heritage as the.
They would probably have to wrestle Heritage.
Bloods. So then, you know what? Give me Cedartown. I like Cedartown. Don't get it twisted. They are a good program. They're on their up and up. I just don't know if they're ready to be the number 2 seed in a state bracket yet. That's my thing, is I don't know if they're there yet. They could be. Like, they're moving in the right direction. I just don't see it yet. So my 4, you hold me to this: Jefferson, West Lawrence, Columbus, Cedartown. I am a big Columbus fan. And I know that might get a little flack, but just I like them. I think that they're really good, top to bottom, really solid, well coached. They're essentially a icon feeder school, essentially. Call it what it is. Shout out Steve Flournoy, doing a great job at Icon. Yeah, that's where I call it. I think Columbus and West Lawrence should be a state semifinal. That should not be a state first round matchup. Call it what it is.
All right. So does West Lawrence have a path to beat Jefferson in the finals?
I believe the politically correct answer is anybody can win on any given Saturday. However,
so that is the politically correct answer, but the Lucas DeSilva answer is
no. And I love West Lawrence. Don't get it twisted. I love Big Mama Chase Horn.
Absolutely.
It's a team that I know well, but and
they're tough, not just at Chase. Like, they got Evan Guyton, they've got
kids, I have a direct
Ingram, they've got kids all throughout the lineup. But Jefferson,
that team is solid.
Jefferson doesn't really have holes.
That's the thing. But I will say, okay, I am not going to go too. If dissension and emotions get in the way, Jefferson could be a little bit more vulnerable than anybody thinks. And I'm going to leave it at that. When the camera stops, you and I can discuss some things off camera. But in all honesty, I got Jefferson probably blanking Bainbridge, nearly blanking Heritage, and then West Lawrence, obviously, they're going to score at very minimum 6, maybe getting 12 on the board. Jefferson probably by 60. Jefferson reigns back-to-back. And then we'll be talking about, are they the best team in the state going into individuals afterwards, because they're going to look very dominant at home.
Okay.
They're at home, right? It is in Jefferson, correct?
You know what? That's a good question.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it is.
I was going to pull that up, and I forgot to do so. Let's see here. Hang on. Oh, goodness. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry. I think you're right.
It's fine. But I do believe it is in Jefferson.
Yeah. All right. So my question, I have 2 questions for you. You've already okay. So question 1 is, how close is West Lawrence Columbus in the first round?
3-point duel. That could go either way. Could go either way. Like, don't get it twisted. Columbus could beat West Lawrence and then Cedartown and then be in the finals. Like, I won't be there's 2 for me. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if Marist knocks off Cedartown, and don't be shocked if Columbus knocks off West Lawrence and Cedartown. Like, that is a very, very good team.
So that you might have just answered the second question, which was, don't be surprised if
either of those. If Marist wins in the first round, or if Columbus goes on a run.
Okay. All right. We are moving on to 5A. Ooh, how good is 5A? Intrigue
galore.
All right. So
I'm going to make a very bold statement that is going to get all the haters and the old-ins and all the this is okay.
All right. Hang on. Before you get to your pick, let's just go through it. Cass is the 1 seed. Woodland's the 2 seed. Woodward's the 3 seed. Ola's the 4 seed. I think we can agree that those are the right seeds.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So beyond those 4 top seeds, right? What were you going to say?
I'm going to make a claim about this class as a whole. This is the best class in the history of state of Georgia.
Yeah, it's pretty.
5A in its current makeup, team by team. There are 3 teams with nationally ranked wrestlers. Has that ever been like a possibility in the state of Georgia before this?
I don't think so. I would agree with you.
Like, this is how good this class is.
And they don't just have one ranked wrestler, nationally ranked wrestler. Each of them have 2 or more.
Yeah.
Cass has Hunt and Craps. Woodward Academy has Killick, Filipowicz, and Singleton. And Woodland has Cole Cochran and Caleb Henson, the number 1 ranked 152-pounder in the country.
Like, talent level? What are we talking about here? And you want to talk about a team? Let's talk about Olaf for a minute.
Right.
Reese Jones, Sam Harris, Brian Papkin, the little lanky kid who I like, whose name I can never remember.
I don't know.
God.
Connor Kimbrough? I don't know.
Thank you. Yes, I can never remember his name for some reason, but I always love watching him wrestle because he's a little spark plug. I love watching him get after it. He's a very fun wrestler to watch.
Okay. All right. So actually, I'm glad you brought them up because for me, Ola, the other 3 teams have your superstars, and they have some really good wrestlers in addition to their superstars. But top to bottom, Ola has no holes. I don't know that they're going to win, but they have no holes. What are you writing?
I just changed the pick. And this pick might get me more flack than what I'm going to do in 7A.
Okay. So walk us through.
I have Cass winning.
Okay. Cass winning.
I have Cass winning themselves a championship. I have Woodland coming in 2nd place. Oh, God. Do I want to do this? Do I want to invoke the wrath? You know what? I enjoy the taste of my own foot. I like putting it in my mouth. I have the Mustangs getting 3rd place. Circle Dub takes 4th. And
all right.
You got to bear with me here. Ola has 14 wrestlers that can bang. If they match up right, they really could steal like 8 matches, 9 matches. They could. They could is the key word in that sentence. They could. Up top, I think they're better. Except for saying, don't get it twisted. Like once they like 95, 220, 25, I think they're better. I think their tiny weights are a little better, especially if they get right matchups. By the way, Woodward could get 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't get this twisted. This isn't me saying that Woodward is a clear 4th. This is, I think Cass is a clear 1.
Do you really?
Not like 30 points. They're going to piss kick everybody. But I think they are better than Woodland. I think they're better than Woodward. I think they're better than Olaf. By, let's say, 10 points, 9 points. It's still a close duel. A very respectable duel. 8-6, 9-5, maybe. Like, maybe if they catch a swing match. Like, I think Cass is the team to beat. I think, now, Woodland could beat them. Woodward could beat, like, I think it's in their range to beat them, but I don't think they will.
All right. So now I'm going to flip it back over to this. And I want you to tell me that if a 1st round upset happens, where does it happen in this bracket? If it happens, not to say it will happen.
I with all due respect to Locust, Jones, Jackson, and Coffee, I just don't see it happening.
Okay, so you think it's Jackson County
like
over Ola if it happens, but you still are predicting.
No, like if I'm gonna pick one, I mean Locust Grove, maybe.
Okay.
They're battle tested, they're solid, but they run into Woodland off the damn scale.
Who is not in your top 4 that could make top 4? Is it Locust Grove?
I think that they're the. I'm going to say it's about Locust Grove. I think they're the best of the bottom 4.
Okay, all right.
I don't pick them to get through, but gun to my head, I have to pick one. Give me Locust Grove.
All right, so
you know what I'm saying? I like yes, Locust Grove.
I understand what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying. You're not picking them. I'm simply putting you on the spot to pick one of the 4 teams.
You're putting me on the spot here.
And
don't get twisted. Like Coffee's a very good team. Jackson is a good team. Jones can bang, but just Lucas is really well coached. They're solid top to bottom. If there's going to be one to do it, it would be them. And if they, I have to choose my words carefully. If they were the 6 seed wrestling Woodward, they are more built to beat Woodward than Woodland.
Okay.
Matchup wise, like they would have a better shot, but them catching Woodland off the scale.
All right. When you originally made your picks, you put Cass and then Woodland.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they wrestled in the area, Cass beat them 50-something to 20-something. Is that what will happen again if they meet? All right. So
I think it'll.
What is that? What are the matchups that Cass has to win for it to be that comfortable of a decision?
See, this is where I don't have as much information. But from what I heard, they caught like every swing match went their way. Like that 50-something 24 was their best case scenario. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that was kind of a 1 in a million. I think in a realistic scenario, I think it'll be more. If I have to throw a score to you, like 42-35, 42-36. Like, I think it'll be closer. But I still think Cass is the better team right now, currently constructed.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tortorella, I can never say his name right. Bear with me. The coach at Woodland.
Okay.
I love that dude to death. He's one of the smartest coaches I've ever talked to. He will have something. He's going to have something.
Okay.
Something, that duel, something's going to happen that no one expects, and it's going to be like, oh, God. Like, it could be a game plan in a match. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's going to be something that happens that he will have prepared for. I like him a lot. He's a really good and a really smart mind for wrestling.
All right. I believe it's Tremotola, but I'm just going to – I don't know for 100%.
It could be. No,
okay.
I'm just terrible with names.
It's all good. Last question.
I couldn't pronounce Scriven for 10 years.
Last question for 5A. It wouldn't surprise me if
Circle Dub is in the finals.
Is in the finals, not wins.
I don't know if it's in their range to beat Cass just because of the matchups, but I think they could beat Woodland.
Okay. All right.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those where it's a similar scenario to Norville. You know?
I'm good. I'm just asking you the question.
Oh, no, I'm just trying to explain it. Yeah.
All right. 6A. You ready?
This one, I know where one of my picks is because last year it came back to bite me, and I'm not doing this again.
All right. So before we get to your picks, let's take it from the top.
No.
We've got Buford as your 1 seed, Valdosta as your 2 seed, Brunswick as your 3 seed, and Creekview as your 4 seed. First, do you agree with the top 4 seeds?
I think you maybe could flip Creekview and Brunswick, maybe. I think maybe Richmond Hill has an argument to be in that top 4. I think your 1 and 2 are pretty solid. I think 3 through 5, you maybe could have an argument to switch up a little bit, but nothing egregious. Nothing where I'm like, this isn't like 4A, where I'm like, what is going on here? This is a little bit more solid.
100% with you. Okay. I agree with you completely. So now, as we walk through this bracket, why don't you just walk us through it as you see the matches play out all the way to the right?
We can do that. So we get Buford and Lassiter. Buford moves on pretty comfortably. Richmond Hill and Creekview is an interesting duel, but I think Creekview matches up really well against Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill had a great sectionals, but I'm picking Creekview. I think they just match up really well. I pick Creekview and move on. ALX Empire and Brunswick, 2 of my favorite brandings in all of Georgia. I love both of the color. Like I am a logo fanatic, and I enjoy Brunswick and ALX and what they do. I take Brunswick. ALX, though, is your perennial empire and powerhouse and can make something happen. Valdosta, I think, walks through Cambridge comfortably. Cambridge is not who I was expecting to be here. And with all due respect to them, they did a hell of a job to get here. On the backside, it'll be Richmond Hill and ALX moving on to your Concy semis. Creekview and Buford, I'm taking Buford. I think Buford is a case to be the best team in the state, pound for pound.
Okay.
Valdosta and Brunswick. Popcorn, my friends. That is a duel I have eyes on. I think Valdosta wins it, but don't be surprised. My final results, last year I picked against Buford. And it came back to bite me so bad that Gavin Pope Instagram called me after they won to talk ish. I'm not making that mistake again. Gavin Pope, Maddox MacArthur, Talon, Ryan Ebold. I could go on and on with Buford. I will take Buford over Valdosta in the final. Really razor thin. Give me Creekview in third and Brunswick in fourth. But that is also razor sharp, razor close.
Okay. All right. So I agree with you in that Buford and Valdosta at least look like they're the two best teams. Buford, my only fear with Buford is up top with, I'm not 100% sure about their 220, their 285, what's going to happen as far as those things go. But down low and through the middle, they are as tough a team as anybody in the state. There's no doubt about it.
Valdosta is similar to Norville.
Valdosta is tough. They will go out and bang and beat anyone.
They beat up on Lowndes and kind of beat up on them a little bit when they duel. My thing about Valdosta is I think they're similar to Norville where they have a lot of weaknesses. But at the end of the day, if you get to those last three weight classes and you're within 18 of them, you need to be sitting on the edge of your seat because they could go pin, see you later, we'll take a trophy. Like, they really could do that.
Now, Brunswick is, like you said, a very good team and probably a little under the radar from some of the other teams. But Brunswick has got kids from top to bottom who will go out and give Bartolota everything they've got. So,
for sure.
Now I'm going to disagree with you in that I think Richmond Hill beats Creekview. And
I can see that.
First round match.
It's going to be funny. I don't like Creekview because of something that happened at Compton my senior year. But I have to respect them at the very least. Like, for the past, 4 or 5 years, they've just found a way to win duels and be very good when you don't think they should. They've found ways to make kids wrestle beyond what we all thought they could. But again, Ken Monroe and the crew, I love Richmond Hill. Those are my boys down there. You want to hear a don't be surprised?
Yeah, because that's going to be my final question for you.
Then I'll wait on it. But Richmond Hill could do some damage in this bracket.
All right. Well, go ahead and give it to us. How much damage? Can they beat Buford?
Don't be surprised. Okay, let me. You know what? Richmond Hill could do good, but you want my don't be surprised? Don't be surprised if Brunswick walks out of Lassiter High School.
Nope. Brunswick High School, because it's in 6A. They're at home.
Oh, I forgot that. So now, let me reword my statement. Don't be surprised if Brunswick says, hey, we'll keep that first place trophy here at home. I'm going to say it now. I don't pick it to happen, but Brunswick is built to win and win now with a great coaching staff. At home, I know they're going to pack that gym out because I've seen Brunswick travel well. So if they travel well, imagine at home. I'm picking Buford because last time I didn't, it came back to bite me. So I'm not picking against them. But
all right. So Buford Valdosta final. How close is it?
Could be a criteria duel.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Okay. Like this could be a 1-point duel.
All right. Let's go to 7A.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting how Buford, where they're good down low, like Valdosta has some good guys down low, but it's a difference in ages. Buford's really young down low. So this is are those young kids ready to take that step and be the needed and necessary point getters in a dual meet? Right. And by the way, I have Maddox McGrutter on my dual team. I love that kid, and that team is hammers. Don't get it twisted. But are they ready to do that at the high school level? This is a great opportunity to see that in a duel that's going to be closer than what they had last year. This is going to be really interesting to see.
So you're right in that Maddox MacArthur versus a Caleb Davis, a Drew Gorman versus a Daryl Rochester types of matches. I mean, that's top quality stuff. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
I think if I had to pick one, 6A might be the tournament I would go to if I had a choice. 6A or 5A for sure.
Yeah, 6A or 5A. All right. Flipping it over to 7A, and Lucas's hatred for Camden County continues. And
this is not a. Oh, by the way,
I was kidding. It was a joke. It was
not hatred.
Resentment.
Disdain is the better word, but with respect. With respect.
Disdain with respect. Got it.
Yes.
All right. So we've got Camden County as your 1, North Forsyth as your 2, Colquitt County as your 3, and West Forsyth is your 4. Do you agree with the seats?
I agree with your 1. I agree with your 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6 I do not agree with.
Okay.
I would flip. The way I preceded it was Camden, North Forsyth, Mill Creek, Colquitt, West Forsyth, Paulding.
Okay.
Actually, no, sorry. I had Paulding below Lowndes, excuse me. I had Paulding below Lowndes, and I had Lambert in 8.
Okay.
Now, I don't know how much of it is me being partial to Mill Creek because I know a lot of that crew more, and I'm being honest. I will be 100% honest. I am very partial to Mill Creek. Don't get it twisted. I know those boys well. They're a really good group of guys, and again, young and on the way up. I just really like them. You want to see a fun first-round match? Let's talk about North Paulding and West Forsyth for a moment.
No doubt. Well, North Paulding, West Forsyth, and Mill Creek versus Colquitt County are 2 of the best first-round matchups that you've got. Lowndes, North Forsyth is a banger as well, because in my opinion, Lowndes is the 4 seed. And
I could see like that's the thing is, you tell me you have Lowndes in the 4, okay? Like I don't disagree with you there.
The thing the reason that Lowndes is on the bottom, I think, is because they want to do the separation between all the area or Region 1 teams.
Could we go back to that bracket for a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is going to be one of those where I'm going to need to look at who drops to who.
But, the thing that I don't understand is if Lowndes is the 4, then Lowndes and the 2 seed, North Forsyth, open with one another, which just seems kind of crazy to me. I think whoever loses that match is going to be really hard to beat on the backside.
Between Lowndes and North Forsyth, I completely agree with that. And it's going to be interesting because what happens if this is where it goes into how good do we think North Paulding is?
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. They showed me something this weekend at sectionals. They took care of business.
They did.
They are my dark horse candidate to go as far as they can go. Like, hell. Like, this whole bracket, I'm like, I don't know what to pick.
Well, you're going to have to give me your top 4. You did it for all the other ones. So
no, I don't worry. I am. I'm just trying to figure out what order.
Who's your 1?
Well, I about had some gall to pick West Forsyth over Camden, but I didn't. My number 1 are the North Forsyth Raiders. My number 2 are the Camden County Wildcats. My number 3 are the Lowndes Vikings. And my number 4 are the Mill Creek Hawks.
Okay. All right.
For those who missed the previous episode, Camden are heavy favorites and in all likelihood are going to win this bracket. Here's why I'm picking against them. Because they stole a damn team state title from me my senior year. So just out of a vendetta, I will pick against them in perpetuity until I'm 6 feet under and the world splits in two when the sun decides to eat us. I am never picking Camden County, ever. I don't care if they're the only team in the class. I'll take the bye over them. I don't care. But it's out of respect because they're a great team and a great organization. They've done well for a decade plus. Don't get it twisted. There's no hate to Wilder and the crew. This is just out of spite for beating me. So, Ugats.
All right. So I'm going to take Camden over North Forsyth. I don't usually make predictions.
That's a very fair pick. That's a very fair pick.
But I think we do agree that they're probably the two best teams, although the bottom side of the bracket is super tough.
Good.
It's so hard.
I have Lowndes and Mill. Think about this. I have Lowndes and Mill Creek at third and fourth. My placements are 3 teams on the bottom side and Camden.
So how tough of a final is the Camden County North Forsyth final? If that indeed ends up being,
I'm trying to find a road. North Forsyth has some hitters.
They do.
Maybe if they could figure out a way, and this is what Archer, Collins Hill, Brookwood, North Forsyth, West Forsyth, this is what every team in 7A, their own region for God's sakes, has had to try to do for the past decade plus, and that's find a way to mitigate their ability to say, okay, you're going to beat our heavy hitters. That's fine. We have 11 other kids that we're just going to breed to wrestle this way. Like I don't get it. Like every year they graduate like 9 kids and they come back with 15 others that wrestle the exact same way. I don't get it. Like this is the epitome of a program. Like this is greatness personified in Camden County. I will never disagree with that, but I'm still picking against them. I'm rolling with Gerard and Monty and the crew.
All right. So, and to give everyone some perspective, if you're not if you don't follow 7A and you don't really kind of have as much of an understanding of 7A, Camden County sits down very close to Florida. They travel to Florida. They wrestle against Florida teams pretty much throughout the year. But to give you an idea of how good of the program, okay, that Camden County is that they take their B team almost everywhere that their A team goes. Their number 2
and their B team finishes in the top 5.
And their B team finishes right up there with some of the best teams in Georgia, South Carolina.
Wasn't there a couple years where at the Coastal Clash, it was Camden A, Camden B, then everybody else?
Yes. So that is why you may not know the name that ends up being on the line for Camden County. But just because you don't know the name doesn't mean that kid hasn't been in the room
Camden
and is not ready to go.
Camden is the epitome of we're not going to make superstars. We are going to make 14 kids that are ready to wrestle.
Right.
And this is why I have so much respect for Camden. And this is the thing is a lot of people in the state look at Camden as arrogant and cocky and things of that nature. And I very much disagree. To me, they are what a team should be that is at that level. You hold yourself to a higher standard because you know how good you are. It's not necessarily cockiness. It's just understanding of the way it is. And I give them a lot more credit than a lot of guys will, because a lot of guys think that they're all this. And I'm like, bro, what they are a wrestling team. They are a community. Do you see when if you're in the state of Georgia and you're going to be at Macon for individuals, I want you to do something for me. Take a gander at the 7A finals, Matt. You're going to notice a sea of light blue and suspenders and overalls, and they're going to be chanting for Camden County, and you're going to recognize, oh, God, they roll 45, 50 people deep to Macon. Like,
yeah,
it's unexplainable. It's unexplainable how good they are, especially to a state like Georgia where they were winning 5A titles. Then they get moved up to 6A. This is way back. They were beating like McEachern and those 5A teams. All of a sudden they move up to 6A, and Archer was in the middle of a run. And they're like, hey, yeah, cancel that. It's our time. And they start beating Archer. Then they beat us. Then they beat Mountain View. Then us. Last year they beat West Forsyth. This year, it really is who's going to challenge Camden. That's the question we have every year. I just, out of spite, am not picking against them. But please understand, this is not me underrating them. This is out of just hatred.
All right.
This is not,
all right.
Personal.
It wouldn't surprise me if what happens in 7A.
You know what? I love me an underdog. Don't be surprised if North Paulding makes the podium. Don't be surprised. They have seemingly found a way to win duels that they have no business winning. And what I mean by that is this. Let's look at their quad. Tift County, who has been a perennial top 6 team in 7A, let's say, in the toughest region, I can argue, in the state, always in the mix. They beat the brakes off them. Then you rock into McEachern, who every year is Sweet 16, Elite 8, into the blood rounds. McEachern also, same kind of thing. And they beat them. They took care of business. And we talked about it going into this last week of this is a prove it for North Paulding. This is a, we know what we think you are. Prove to us that you are what we think you are. And they've done that. They've proved that they are here. And the best part is they are young. Like, this is not the best that this team has. This is a start of something. And I love seeing it out of North Paulding because they're not your typical powerhouses.
And I had a frozen Lucas DeSilva, but lots of audio from there. So that is fantastic. And I agree with you. I think North Paulding is a very interesting squad. All right. So now we're going to break it down to 2 or 3 questions. Question number 1. You can go visit any of the 7A class of state duels. What's the one you're watching?
Send me to 5A, bro.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go 5A. 5A and 6A, flip a damn coin. Both of those are really fun.
Okay. Second question. If you're wrong about any classification in your picks, which classification are you most wrong?
Oh, God. I mean, hell, it's going to be 7A. I'm going to be most wrong with 7A. Like, let's go.
Exclude 7A.
Besides 7A. There's a possibility that 5A could come boot my door and then all of a sudden, like, Woodward's in their top 2. I mean, I'm taking a bit of a risk picking Ola over Woodward. I understand that. So I think 5A is the one that could come back to bite me.
Okay. All right.
I think my champions, though, for the most part, Tryon, Oglethorpe County, Rockmart, Jefferson, Cass, Buford, and then North Forsyth, I think for the most part, those are solid picks to win.
Okay. All right. Well, Lucas, I appreciate you taking the time. I love everyone giving us feedback on what Lucas got 100% wrong. That is always one of my favorite comments to read. Bring
it all. I don't care.
Best of luck at Kaiser. Hope you guys wrestle really well. And safe travels, and we'll see you. We're gonna reach back out and we're gonna have a conversation right before individuals as well. Is that right?
Yep, because we got 98 brackets to look at.
Goodness, that's just crazy. All right.
I hate this. I hate this state.
All right, Lucas, you take care, man.
Oh, yes, sir.